So we have a Neeraj today as a trainer, and probably then okay, you have already started this training, and then make a presenter as a Neeraj, so he can start the session whenever is required and pause the recording. Then you are there. Okay.
Yep. Hi,
Yeah. Yeah, fine. Thank you. So, Neeraj, do you want to introduce yourself and then we can start today's session?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Hi. Good morning. Good morning, a Monday morning to all. I am Neeraj Naik. I'm an SAP BW4 HANA SME in IBM. I've been associated with IBM for past 5.5 years. And in SAP BI landscape, I have an experience of 15 years plus. And currently, I'm associated as a solution architect and a SME for client Johnson and Matthey in UK. So looking forward for this session. Hopefully, I can introduce you guys to the AMDP concept and answer all your questions as much as possible. Yeah, that's it, Preeti.
Thank you, Neeraj. So, do you have anything to share, or PPT, or so? If you want, you can share it.
Sure, I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, fine, fine.
Okay, I'm just trying that. Okay. Please let me know once you guys are able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So, Preeti, I can start. All are in, or are we waiting for someone?
No, we are good to start.
Okay, fine. Just let me put this in the presenter mode. All right. So, just before I get started, I just wanted to understand. I saw around 17 participants over here. Are all of you having a prior experience into BW, or is anybody absolutely new to BW SAP? Or all are having some kind of experience? Because I need to understand that, and I will start the training accordingly. Okay. A lot
So,
of fun.
Neeraj, just to give you a brief, I mean, it's most of the people are having a BW experience. So there's not the B4, but they have a background of the BW. So the conceptually everything is, I think all are or someone from, I think one person from BO as well, but we have a majority of people are from BW background only.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Preeti. All right, so let's get started. So today's topic is, as you can see, it's AMDP in BW transformation and HANA exit variables. So moving on to the next slide immediately. Is it moving for you guys? Because I see my PPT stuck.
We are on convert ABAP to AMDP script page.
Oh, okay,
Actually,
okay.
there is a Word document which is visible. I think you might have not shared your whole desktop. So maybe you can stop and again reshare.
Yeah, I've shared my presentation. Okay, 1 minute. I'll just unshare and share again. Okay, is it visible again?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'll just put it on presenter mode again.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, fine. So coming to the introduction, AMDB is the new way of leveraging the HANA capabilities of BW for HANA server space. And this is the kind of history which has been through how the HANA database have evolved over a period of time. So initially, as we all understand, we need to be at certain service levels and support packs before we can explore the capabilities of BW for HANA. So initially, when the BW was on 7.4 and support pack 5, so the transformation in the transformation, as you know, we have for standard formulas from SAP, we have routines, we have direct mapping, right? So when we were on 7.4 and support pack 5, only the standard only the standard formulas of SAP could leverage the HANA database capabilities. Meaning what? The routines which we used to write in any of the start routine, end routine, or field routine were not leveraged on the HANA database. It was only on the application, a web application layer when we were on support pack 5. So any transformation containing custom routines were still executed on the application server. And this enables fast processing of transformation in many cases already, but only for the standard rules. Okay. Then we moved on to support pack 8. So in that, the option to implement customer specific transformation directly was available, meaning our codes which we wrote were able to leverage on the HANA database. And our coding on the AMDP is SQL script. I'll also explain what is HANA SQL script. And error handling, enabling error handling will force the execution of the application layer. So what does this mean is, over here, we could leverage only the standard SAP formulas. Over here, along with the standard SAP formulas, we could leverage our own custom routines, but the error handling capacity, which we normally put in our code for exception handling or the TTP for error handling, those were not able to execute at the database layer. It was only at the application layer. And when we move to SAP 7.5 support pack 4, we can leverage all the facilities or all the attributes of the transformation on the HANA server. Okay, so these are the basic difference how AMDP as a concept has been evolved. So these are the prerequisites. Okay, on the right hand side, if you see, we have to be at certain support pack level to leverage the AMDP concept. Okay, AMDP is nothing but a different way of writing your code on the HANA transformations. Okay, I'll explain in detail what is AMDP, how does it work, how does it function. But before that, these are the prerequisites which are needed. And the data targets, like now we understand, right? Even transformation can be used as a source. Initially, we in the previous work, in when we move to BW on HANA or BW for HANA, we can use transformation as a source. So there are few targets to which we can write the AMDP codes, AMDP script rather. Okay, so it says that a data source, ADSOs, all kind of ADSOs can be used as a data target, meaning we can write code to manipulate data into these data targets. Data stars semantically partition objects, open hubs, and there is one mistake in this slide. It is mentioning that all types, but not the info cube. This was in the previous versions, but now we can use AMDP script to update data in InfoCube type ADSO also. Okay, so these are the various data targets. The restrictions are as below. What if the info provider if the queries are used as an info provider, we cannot write AMDP script for that. Okay, basically this comes in APDs, or now known as HANA analyze processes. So over there we can use queries as an info provider, right? So over here we cannot write AMDP scripts. We have to leverage on ABAP coding. And in the transformation, if we have even a single line of ABAP code, and suppose in the start routine we have a single line of ABAP code, then we will not be able to convert that transformation to leverage on AMDP. Either it is AMDP or ABAP. Okay. if the transformation has multiple rule groups, in that case also we cannot use AMDP scripts. We have to use ABAP coding. Do you guys know what is rule group, or do you need some example what rule groups are in a transformation?
We don't know. Can you tell us?
Okay, fine. So rule groups are basically a combination of transformation logic. Suppose, for example, uh, we have a common source, okay, a flat file source or a data BW data source, which is bringing one key figure. Suppose planning. So let's take example of planning. We have actual key figures and planning key figures, right, in a planning module. So suppose on the source we have just one key figure and we want to create versions. Suppose we want to mark version 1 as plan and version 2 as actuals, or vice versa. So, and you just have one key figure in your data source, okay? And now in your data target, you have two key figures. One is planned key figures, one maybe budget key figures, and the other one is actual key figure. But in the source, you are having just one key figure. So now based on some logic, you want to uh, feed these two key figures on the right hand side. Maybe I'll have to draw stand. Create one random one. Okay, this is suppose my BW data source, okay, which has just maybe two key fields, two data fields, and one key figure. Okay. Now, suppose my data target has two key field, two and two key figures. Okay, and there is one more characteristic known as version. Okay, so now in the transformation, okay, we have one transformation in the system. So either we have one start routine, we have individual field routines for the transformation, and we have an end routine. But now, based on some logic, I want at the end of the day, this particular key figure to be divided into, based on version 01, it should be called as budget key figure, and version 2 as actual key figure. Okay, so over here, this particular key figure has to be divided into either budget key figure or actual key figure based on version value. Okay, so what we can do is over here in one the standard rule, whenever you create a transformation, by default that transformation is a standard rule group. Okay, just close this for the time being. So there's a standard rule group. Over here you have an option to have one more rule group, which you can name as per your need. So I will call that standard rule group as budget rule group, and the other one as actual rule group. Okay, so over here, in this particular key figure, I'll write the logic that when version 01, this key figure should be mapped to this one key figure, and when version 2 in the other rule group, when it is version 2, then it should map the other key figure. So this is a very simple example. Normally the example which I have given can be handled in a single transformation, but there are cases when you have a different complex logic and you want different logic for different key figures. Okay, do not want the same end routine logic in this key figure and same end routine logic for these key figure. So we can create two rule types. The one rule type will feed this key figure, budget key figure, which is this. The other rule type will this. So these rule groups are very rarely used in cases where you cannot, have the same kind of logic, start routine, end routine, or field routine for the key figures. You need some different kind of logic to be placed, especially in the planning area. This is a very simple example I have given, but when you log in, you'll whatever you see your standard transformation.
Neeraj, hierarchy would have standard growth groups, hierarchy loads.
Yeah.
There we can see multiple rule groups, and it is that could be one other example.
Correct. So even in hierarchies, yeah, thank you. That's a very good example. So in hierarchies, we have versions, version 1, version 2. We can have multiple versions of the hierarchies. So over there also, this concept can come into place. So basically, in simple terms, it is a group of transformations. Okay.
Yes, yes. Got it.
Yeah. Does that answer your question? Fine. Any other doubt so far before we move ahead? Okay. Let's go ahead. Okay, so rule groups are not supported. Customer defined functions in the formula editor are not supported. This is nothing but the new concept where we have body info providers, right? Over there, we can have our custom formulas created. So that ones are not supported. And the basic requirement is whenever you're writing an AMDB script, all the data source fields should be a part of that code. To read data from data source objects, the entire key must be provided. I'll show you what that means when we do a small demo. And nearline storage connections are not supported, right? So we cannot write an AMDP script for data targets which are not on the BW4 HANA space. They are in some nearline storage like SAP IQ database, Sybase database. Okay. So these are the restrictions where you cannot write the code, and these are the data targets which are supported for AMDP scripting. Okay, any doubts in this slide, or can I move to the other one? Can I move forward? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Okay, so this is the diagram which explains what AMDP is. Okay, so AMDP full form is ABAP Managed Data Procedures. Okay, so can anybody answer what is a data procedure? Anybody has any idea?
So data procedure basically are like encapsulation. I mean, you make your own, small bits of capsules where there is a logical group of piece of codes would be there.
Yeah, perfect. So that is a clear-cut ABAP definition how that is. So in a very layman term, data procedures are nothing but programs. Okay, logically grouped programs or a function module. So the task of the data procedure is to perform specific function. For example, reading a table, manipulating the data in a table, returning values, all these small functions. Whatever ABAP logic where we can write to do certain tasks, that can be called as a data procedure in layman terms. Okay, so this is the to understand AMDP, we need to go back to our basics. Like SAP is a 3-tier structure, right? And everybody remember that SAP is a 3-tier structure. What do you mean by 3-tier structure? Do I need to explain that? Does anybody want an explanation for that? What is a 3-tier structure SAP? All are okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So so over here we are seeing just 2 tiers because AMDP explanation is a 2-tier. So basically 3-tier structure when we say is we have a database server where the data is sitting. Actually, we have an application server, and over that we have a presentation layer or a server. The database server is nothing like ROM of our computer or laptop. Application server is nothing but like a RAM in our computer or a laptop. And a virtualization layer or a presentation layer is like the monitor, right? So when we are writing an ABAP code, basically we are exploiting or leveraging the application server. Okay. So in a traditional ABAP code, when you are writing an ABAP code here, like select, for example, we write select star based on some logic from some ECC table, maybe Mara table, VBAP table, or anything. When we're writing that code in the start routine, end routine, or the field routine, what happens is when you're triggering that load, the select query, first it goes here from the source table. Like suppose we have written a select query on a sales ECC table, it fetches based on that select criteria, it fetches the data, okay, brings it to the application layer and does the manipulation as per the logic which we have written. And once that is done, again that data is pushed back to the target. So whatever ADSOs cubes we are creating at the back end, they are just flat tables, right? So it is taking data from one table, manipulating on the application layer, and say, giving it back to the data target. So in the traditional ABAP based method, the data is moving across these two stacks twice, once to fetch and once again to put it back into the data target. Okay, and this is basically kind of a row based data load. Okay, but when it comes to AMDP, now as we all understand, we are leveraging on the HANA database servers, right? So it has in-memory computing, and because of the columnar store, it has high rate of compression. Because of these two features, and since HANA is easily can be put it into a scale-out architecture or a scale-up architecture, the processing is faster. So now what happens is in AMDP, ABAP managed data procedures. So basically, data procedures are always on the database. So what do you mean by ABAP managed? We are not going into the database level to write the database procedures. Okay, we are managing these database procedures from our application layer, which is our ABAP dictionary, ABAP library. So what happens is when you're writing the code in your transformation and you choose AMDP script, you're just writing the code here. But what happens is when you're executing that data load, the code is pushed down to the database server. Okay, the entire logic is pushed down to the data server, and the logic based on the select query, it fetches the data from the source, manipulates the data, and puts directly in the data into the data target. So over here, the data is not flowing twice across these applications. All the activity are happening in the HANA database server. So that is why AMDP works faster compared to ABAP. Okay, so that is why this functionality is known as code push down functionality. So basically, we are pushing the code to the database. We are not calling the data into the application server for manipulation. We are pushing the entire code to the database. Okay, so this is the basic difference, and why SAP recommends, like, if you have heavy logic and heavy data sets to manipulate, then it is always best to write an AMDP script in your transformation. Okay, so this is the basic difference. So this is the core of how AMDP works. Any questions here? Because this is, if you understand this, then coding and everything becomes very easy. Anybody, any questions? So this is a code push down technology. No questions?
No question.
Okay, cool. Moving on to the next slide. So this screenshot is from BW on HANA. Okay. So if I'm not sure how many have come across this one. So whenever you create a transformation and you try to start, and when you have moved to a HANA database server, so whenever you try to create a start routine or an end routine or a field routine or an export routine rather, first time in that transformation, it will give you a pop-up to choose between ABAP routine or AMDP routine, AMDP script. So based on your choice, it will treat that particular transformation as ABAP oriented or AMDP oriented. So if you choose an ABAP routine, it will follow this methodology. And if you choose AMDP script, it will follow this methodology. Okay. Now the point to remember is you cannot have a combination of the two. Like suppose if you want to write a BAP routine in the start routine and you have some heavy logic in your end routine and you want to leverage AMDP script, no, that is not possible. Either it's entirely a BAP routine or it is entirely AMDP script. So over here you can see these are the few options. But when you are creating on BW4 HANA, this is not the screen you'll get. It is basically something like this over here. I've already created a test one. So in your transformation, in your general tab, you'll have this over here options. Okay. I guess you guys might have seen some of it. If I try some new transformation with something else. So if you see over here, by default, when I create a new transformation, it is on ABAP runtime. Okay. Now, if I want to continue with this, when I hit your create, it will give me an ABAP. I'll have to choose this. So yeah, coming back to this point over here, which I mentioned right over here, the entire key must be provided. So if you see here, when I'm choosing for ABAP, it is giving me an option of what all fields I need. Okay, I can choose that. And based on that, suppose I choose just 4, 5 of them. I go here as end routine. Right now we are on ABAP. Okay. It will open into an ADT tool. You see here, it is moved to an ADT tool. So over here, whatever fields I had selected, it will come by default as my structure. Okay. And then I get a code definition where I can write an ABAP logic. If you see, these are all ABAP, source field type and everything, because I had chosen ABAP. Okay. Now, suppose I switch my runtime. I delete this. Okay. Now I switch my runtime to AMDP scripts. Okay. And now I try to create. Over here, to make this thing work, I have to select all the fields. Otherwise, that logic might go for a toss. So over here, you have to select all the fields. Okay. So this is what it means. Like you have to select all the fields, bring it into your code, and then select the particular one which you do not want or which you want.
Neeraj, can you go back to slide? Is it like all fields or just the key fields?
The key fields there.
So key, okay, not all the fields, right? It's just
Yeah.
the key
Key,
field.
key fields is a must, but when I tried couple of times, it asked me to select everything.
So
And
if it is like cube type, maybe all fields would be key fields, right? But if it is okay,
correct. For ADSO, I don't think it would be required. You definitely need the key fields because without that, the logic won't work properly. And for cubes, I believe yes, you need the entire thing. So this is how it basically uh, it looks, right? So that's the difference between an ABAP coding and the ADMP script. So this is from BW4 HANA. There in your SAP GUI, when you used to try to make the transformation, you used to get this pop up there. But in over here, it is just an option over in the general style.
Neeraj, in this transformation, there is only for expert routine.
Yeah,
And for
yeah,
go ahead.
this is I have created for a demo purpose here, which I will be sharing. But as I showed it to you, when you're creating a new transformation, you'll get all the three options.
Okay, so is there any difference where it is just create expert routine and some other case it creates all three like start routine, end routine, and expert routine?
Yeah, this is you are only able to see here because I've already created an expert routine.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
created expert, that's why it is showing only expert here.
Correct. Because when you are creating an expert routine in transformation, then there is no use of
Start
start
and end.
routine and end routine, right? So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is just for a demo purpose. I had already created it, which I'll share
Okay.
it in some time how it works. So otherwise, when you choose, you get that standard one: start routine, field routine, and end routine.
Okay.
Okay. So this, but before that, you have to switch your runtime here. Okay. So based on your, since I have switched to SAP HANA runtime, I'm getting the AMDP script logic over here. If I
Mhm.
choose ABAP, you will get the ABAP logic. You will see that field symbol and all that thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
good.
if you delete this, then again it will show start routine, end routine, expert routine.
Correct.
This
So
transform. Okay.
yeah, and let me show it to you so that I guess it will be very helpful and easier. I'll just copy the code somewhere and then again try that. Okay.
Okay.
Or I'll just copy the code. Yeah. Now I go back here.
Mhm.
I delete this. See, now you get all the options.
Yes.
Okay, fine. I'll just save it and then again create it when we're doing a small demo.
Mhm.
Okay, so you see here, if right now there is no coding, so it is giving an option of create ABAP also. So, but the key thing is you have to select your runtime properly. If you want ABAP logic, then ABAP runtime, and if you want AMDP, then SAP HANA runtime. Then it will give you an option for HANA scripting.
So Neeraj, suppose you have written ABAP, AMDP logic, and if you switch back to ABAP runtime, then system will automatically, generate code for that, and so whatever code you have written in AMDP to ABAP, or how is it?
No, I don't. I've never tried that option, but it will not automatically convert. Okay, I guess it should give you some message because HANA SQL scripting is a little different than ABAP coding. Okay, it, so it basically leverages on the SQL query. So we can try that. Let's see. Once we do a small demo, we can try that. You just remind me this point to be checked.
And I think it will delete that code.
Yeah, and you'll have to write the entire logic
Okay,
again.
okay.
Yeah, but we can try in the small demo how it works. I guess it will give some error message. It will delete and it will say there is no routine or something like that. Okay.
Correct. It deletes. So that's the way it works. So ABAP cannot be converted to HANA, and HANA cannot be converted to ABAP. If you try it, you have to delete it or the system deletes it.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Any other doubts?
Good so far.
Okay, great. So this is the step-by-step. Just put it on the presenter mode. Yeah. So as I showed it to you. So once you hit the AMDP script, okay, by default all these things, all these codes are generated. Okay. Now the thing to understand here is, okay, let's go to the basics. Do you guys have understanding about what is a class and what is a method? Anybody can explain what is a class, what is a method? Anybody, you can give it a try.
I'll give it a try. So
Yeah.
it's object-oriented concept. That's the class, and the class encapsulates all the data and the methods. So whatever data is within the class, that has to be done through the methods. We have private, public, and protected. So we have all the concepts of encapsulated, object-oriented programming, basically. So it's all encapsulated, and data is protected. And if we have to manipulate the data, then we have to write the methods.
Okay.
It has to be.
Yeah. Sanjeeva, is it? It was Sanjeeva.
Yeah, it's Sanjeev.
Yeah,
Thank
perfect. So we have answered most of it. I mean, almost 99% of it is correct. So normally what happens is we BWS consultants, we do not much go into details of the concepts of ABAP. But yes, so there are two things, as rightly said by Sanjeeva. We have a class and we have a method. So class is basically the declaration. Okay, and Sanjeeva mentioned it is a concept of OOPS, object oriented programming, right? So suppose, what do I mean by that? Object oriented programming. So we have we have info objects, right? So all that in ABAP term is an object. So suppose I want to say an object as car. Okay, car is an object. So over here, I'll define this car class, and I will mention it has a chassis, it has four tires, it has an engine, it has two seats, it has a steering wheel. So I define a class for the car. I give the kind of attributes to the car. Okay, so car is my class. Okay, so suppose so this is my class. I define all the attributes here. Okay, so suppose I say the car engine is of Volkswagen, so I can say it's a German car. Okay, it has four seats, alloy wheels, and stuff like that. But if the engine is Maruti, so we have Swift. So basically, the class defines the attribute or the architecture. Is it gives the skeleton to the object, and based on the attributes, we can define multiple objects. Okay, so this is one example. Now another object can be a person. Okay? So I can define a class for a person. So basic difference would be male or female, right? The skeleton remains the same: two hands, one head, two eyes, all that. Okay. So I can say, maybe I can give some name. I can define object class person as Neeraj, Preeti, and just now because I spoke to Sanjeeva, Sanjeeva. Okay. So Class gives you the structure, and based on the attribute values, you define the object. Now, I want to connect these two. I want to say Neeraj and Sanjeeva are driving Swift, and Preeti is driving German car. Okay, so for that to create this relation, and to say suppose Sanjeeva is using Swift car to travel from his home to workplace, Neeraj is using Swift car to travel from workplace to home, and Preeti is using German car on a vacation. So these behavior or how these objects should attach to each other, communicate with each other to make some business sense, we write methods. Okay, so methods are the logic. It gives behavioral aspect to all these objects to interact with each other. So class is primarily very important. You define the class, and inside the class you implement the method, how it should behave. Okay, this is a very general example to understand how class and methods are related to each other and they work with each other. This is an OOPS concept. Okay, any questions here? I can then show it in the system how it looks. Okay, no question. Somebody wanted to speak?
No, I was saying we are good.
Okay, okay. So now coming over here, so whenever you create a transformation in routine or a rather AMDP, it gives you two sections. One is the class over here on the above section, or the class. Okay, here you define the structure and the types and the table types and everything. And on the second part, you have the implementation where you define how this class should interact with the objects of this class should interact with each other. Okay, so the main point to be noted here is to define a method as an AMDP method. These are the key points. Okay, by database procedure, when you put this procedure is the method name. Okay, by default, most of the time, whenever you're creating a BW AMDP in a BW environment, it will by default most of the time give you method as procedure. You can change this as per your requirement. Okay, so by putting this key field or keywords by database procedure, it converts this method into a database procedure. Okay, now we want to say this database procedure is an AMDP procedure. So for that, you give the HANA database name for HANA database for HDB. So this is an AMDP procedure. This is a procedure for HANA database, and we give the language SQL script. So these three combinations make this method a AMDP method. Okay, and options read only. These are by default. So now to understand this, by the key field language SQL script, when you say that, it converts this particular method into an AMDP method. Uh, anyone has an idea what is an SQL script? What are the various type of SQL coding languages? Anybody? Any idea? Basically, what is an SQL? Full form of an SQL?
Structured query language.
Yeah, structure query language. That's perfect. So, do you? How many type? I mean, what are different coding languages for an SQL? Like OpenSQL, Native SQL, SQL scripts, MySQL. Any idea? Anybody? And why do you need an SQL? Anybody can give it a try. No right answer, no wrong answer.
Is it a database language?
Database language, yeah, to contact with the comments.
Okay. Okay. So perfect. It's a database language you need it for querying. But what is the difference between an SQL script, an open SQL, or a native SQL? Anybody wants to give it a shot? Nobody? Okay. Yeah, please go ahead. Okay. So, so let me go back few steps. Is my screen stuck for you guys? I'm not able to come out of this PPT. Okay. Okay. So basically, SQLs are, as rightly said, are database languages to query the data in the database server, right? ABAP is an application layer language, correct? So back in somewhere in 1970, I guess, somebody named as Dr. Edgar, okay, came up with the concept of RDBMS, Relational Database Management Systems. Okay, so basically RDMS is a structured form of database. All the data are stored in a tabular form. Okay, so to query for these tabular form databases, SQL was implemented. In 1970 came up with the concept of RDBMS. I guess around 1974, 4-5 years later, they came up with the concept of SQL. And I believe 8 years from there, around 1980 or somewhere, they came up with the first RDBMS. That time was known as some relational database management. Basically Oracle. Oracle was the first RDBMS database server. So to query on these servers, SQL was designed. So SQL as full form is structured query language. So a query language used to query on a structured database. Okay, these relational database servers are structured database. Our SAP, Oracle, HANA are all structured database. So for that, the basic coding is SQL. Okay, but now what happened is over a period of time, when we have different databases, like SAP has its own HANA database, Oracle is there, some other structured databases are there. So to leverage on their own database capability, they have tweaked this basic SQL coding standards according to best suit for their databases. So OpenSQL is a form of query language which is suited for maybe MS SQL database servers, which is Microsoft SQL servers. And we have native SQL, which is only for HANA specific. And we have SQL script, which is absolutely very specific to our BW HANA databases. Okay, so this SQL script, if I try to run it, this coding, if I try to for on some other database, relationship database, it will not give me that performance uh, improvement. Okay, SQL script is specifically little tweaked SQL coding for our HANA database servers. We have a lot of database servers like MS SQL, we have Reddit, multiple things, right? So SQL script is basically a tweaked SQL language specifically for a HANA database. Okay, understood a basic idea about how the SQL scripts have evolved.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fine. We have non-RDBMS servers also, like I guess NoSQL, a few other, I don't remember right now. But for there, it is basically it is absolutely unstructured. So it is basically for big data where you can, the data is stored in the form of documents and file format. So those are basically for big data. Okay. And coming to this AMDP, the important point is when we are creating this uh, AMDP code, the AMDP and everything are in $temp, meaning what? I'll just expand this one. So our entire coding we are doing on the ABAP layer, right? So in a traditional sense, whenever a database procedure is created in the database, you have to capture that in a transfer request and then move it along the database server. But the beauty over here is you do not have to do anything on the database server. Okay, you just have to code on the ABAP layer, okay, and capture the transformation and the DTPs in the ABAP layer. and just transport it across the system. Okay. The AMDP, which is created, it is in the dollar temp. What does that mean is this AMDP, this data procedure over here is not created when you're saving the transformation. Like normally what happens is whenever you're saving or activating a particular object, the same replica is created in the database server. But for here in AMDP, nothing is created on the database server. The code is entirely on here. When that particular AMDP is called for the first time, okay, when you're running the DTP load for the first time, or that AMDP script is called for the first time, that time a database procedure is created directly in the database server. So suppose you're creating a transformation in development environment and you run that DTP on the AMDP script, a database procedure is created here. That database procedure need not be captured and transferred to the test environment. You just have to transport the transformation and the DTP. And again, when you run it there in the test system, a DB procedure is created. Similarly in the production. Okay, this is an important concept to understand. Any doubts here? No doubts. I'm doing a good job. Okay. So see, it's mentioned here, every time a change needs to be transported, the corresponding transformation and DTP should be activated and collected in the TR, not the database procedure. Okay. And I guess this is one of the certification questions also. When is the AMDP procedure created or a database procedure created in the database? It is not while the activation, it is only while it is being called for the first time. At that time, the database procedure is created at the database server. Okay.
So that means during data loading or that time, right?
Yeah. So for our perspective in the transformation, when we are running the DTP for the first time, it will create the database procedure, and it will remain there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And whenever you are changing the code, it will again when you run the DTP, it will update the database procedure.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is another good point over here. So as I said, there are two aspects to AMDP. One is the class and the other is the implementation, right? So for the class, whenever you're defining the class, okay, you need to put a marker interface. What do you mean by a marker interface? This is like a identification to the class that this is an AMDP class. So this is that interface, if underscore AMDP underscore marker underscore HDP. So whenever the class has this interface, the SAP identifies this as an AMDP class. So as I said, for methods, we have this by database procedure for HDB, language scripting, SQL. This identifies this method as an AMDP, and this interface identifies the class as an AMDP. I'll show you in our transformation, this interface, we need not worry, it is created by default. But if you are creating an explicit AMDP, which is not transformation based directly in SE38 or somewhere, then you have to explicitly put this interface. Okay, this interface is nothing but like if you want to call a particular AMDP from a web application or some other application, some other interfaces, and to so that the web application identifies this this data procedure as an AMDP procedure, to enhance that connection, it is this interface is used. Okay. So basically, for our understanding, this marker interface identifies the class as an AMDP class. And in transformations and routines, expert routines, this comes by default. I'll show you when I create a small demo, but this is the identification. And for method, this is the identification. Okay. Clear? Any questions here? Okay. No questions. Fine. Okay. Now, few features which we discussed partially in slide number 2. If we have these features in our transformation, then we cannot leverage AMDP, like query as an info provider. So basically HAP, you cannot have AMDP scripts in HAP, HANA Analyze Processor. Okay. If there is a single line of ABAP code, then you cannot write AMDP scripts in the transformation. You'll have to delete it and write the AMDP script differently. Then these are few, actually these date conversion formulas, they were not code push down in previous versions, but now you can leverage on these formulas also. And as I said, Body, we have Body info providers, right, as a new concept in BW4 HANA. Over there, if you create some new formulas that we cannot use for AMDP scripting from Body info providers. Transfer routines, obviously we do not have in BW4 HANA, so that is fine. So that's why it is not supported. Any time characteristic with distribution, that is not supported. Rule groups, which we discussed, if there are multiple rule groups for a transformation, that is not supported for AMDP scripting. Time dependent attributes initially were not supported, but now the latest version, it is possible. Initially cube like data sources were not supported, but now with the latest version, it is again supported. So these things we need not worry. And error handling was not supported before in previous versions, and now it can. So basically these are the few. If you see, we have basically Body info providers and query as an info provider and rule groups which are not supported for AMDP scripting. Rest most of them can be used for AMDP scripting. Even nearline connections in the later versions we can. Yeah, somebody had some question.
Yeah, I was going into that nearline thing, and you told it. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically this presentation was created, I guess, in 2017. So it has been enhanced over a period of time. So even when I went to this PPT, I was like, this is not true. Then I did this one. So the latest version, most of them are supported.
So in current 7. BW on HANA itself, when we are doing this nearline connection, right? When we are reading data from nearline, we are using methods only. So I mean, I think they kept with that thing in mind that in future version the method can be used,
Correct.
and now it is supporting here.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Any questions here? Anybody? We can move to a sample code. Okay. So as I said, this one, a method procedure by database. This is a standard description to put the method as an AMDP using. This is a very important keyword. Suppose we are using some tables which are not a part of SAP HANA schema, maybe some other schema, then you have to explicitly mention those tables here to use it in your AMDP script. Okay, so using these which are not a part of SAP schema, you can put it here. And this is just a sample code where it is they have created a temporary tab, and they over here they are selecting based on delivery number and item and minus delivery some other table. Okay, anybody has an idea what does this minus syntax do over here in SQL scripting? Just for GK, we will not be using it. Just for
Will remove records. It will remove records from first table which are matching with the second table.
Perfect. Yes. So it will just bring unique records from this table. Absolutely right. Okay. So they'll be storing at some temp area. Then see in our BW4 HANA, these are the two basic ones. Like in ABAP coding, we have source package and result package, correct? So over here we have out tab and in tab in SQL scripting. So out tab is basically a result package. You can compare it to a result package. It is not exactly a result package, but you can compare it there while preparing a logic. So result package is equal to select from our source package all these fields. Okay. So basically all these fields are chosen as it is. And if you want to manipulate any of the field, you can put a condition here. In our demo, I'll show how it is done. And based on the join condition. This is a small demo type, and you can have, as mentioned in the previous slide, before 7.5 versions, this error handling was not possible in AMDP scripting. Now this error handling is possible. We can create exceptions. Okay. Yeah, the beautiful part of AMDP is, since it is a different concept of database procedures, still you can leverage on your ABAP debugging feature. Okay, it is our AMDP is tightly coupled with ABAP layer. So all the transportation and everything looks very similar to our normal transportations, transport requests, and AMDP can leverage on the debugger of HANA, on a ABAP debugger. But how to execute it is a little different because we are on HANA database. Okay, I'll answer this by asking a question. Can anybody roughly give me, jot down the steps? How do you debug a transformation in SAP GUI?
So basically, you apply a breakpoint, and then when you this processing mode, you do debug mode, and when you execute it, it will go to the breakpoint. I mean, wherever you have applied breakpoint, the pointer will go there, and then you like there you have this. You can execute one by F5, or you want to execute the whole program F8, or just the module F7. That way.
Correct. So where would you put the breakpoint?
So depends whether you want to debug the start routine or end routine or fill routine. Based on that, I mean, you apply the breakpoint. Whatever. Yeah.
And you get that option in the DTP, right? Before start routine, after before end
Or
routine.
so that way, or there would be. I mean, you can go to generated program, and in that generated program, you just
Oh,
soft
okay.
sub
Yeah.
code or whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to hear that generated program. Yes. So that is the basic thing, right? So whenever you create a transformation, actually we are looking into the graphical representation of the transformation, but at the back end, an ABAP code is generated, right? So that you have to open that generated ABAP program, and you have to place the breakpoint where you want to debug, come back to the DTP, put it into a simulation debugging mode, simulation mode, and run. And it will go and stick to the ABAP, the breakpoint where you have put, right? But in AMDP scripting, it is a little different. It is almost the same, but a little different. I'll show you how. But in AMDP, you have two versions of the transformation. One is named as underscore A, and the other is named as underscore M. I'll show it to you when we are debugging. But it is a little different over here, just to keep in mind, okay? But we can debug by AMDP scripts in transformations, okay? So basically, this is how your debugger looks, okay, once you are into the debugger mode.
Can you zoom it? I mean, we hardly see it.
Yeah.
That was very small, so yeah. Can it be zoomed?
1 minute.
The top there is 100%, right? You can increase that.
I am not able to see here.
Oh no, we can zoom ourselves, but still it's not clear. Okay.
Just hold down the control key and press the plus sign, which will work. Hold down the
Control,
key and
yeah,
plus
plus
sign.
sign.
Hold down the control key. You need to hold down the control key and then press the plus sign.
Okay. Okay. Is this better? You guys can see now.
Yeah, section we can understand. Okay, so there are different sections. Okay.
Yeah. So
So
this is
maybe
the,
when you show in system, it would be better understand.
yeah. So basically, this is, it will show the hierarchy, the class, and the procedures where we are debugging, and rest three are the same. While we are normally debugging, we have that variable where we can change the variable values, the table entries we can check. This is the code, and this is the table entry. Yeah, when we are debugging, I'll show it to you, all these sections. HANA exit variables, I will discuss at the end. Okay, so around 10:45. Should we take a 10-minute break? Then I'll go into the system and show
Yeah.
you the demo.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, meanwhile, you guys can note down any questions if you have. So after the break, I'll address that first and then get into the system. All right, we'll have a short break. We'll meet at 10:55 is okay, or do you want a 15-minute break?
Yeah, 15 minute. We'll have some tea.
Okay, fine, no worries. So we'll meet at 11. Okay, thank you.
Stop recording.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So Deepak, can you just share the screen?
Yeah,
Maybe.
okay. Let me share. In the meantime, everyone comes back. Let me share.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the one where I want to read one particular field from an ADSO table.
Okay.
Okay, based on customer ID key field.
Okay.
So
Select customer name.
I added here like using my active table. Do we need to put table here or we need to put view here?
Using the table name.
Okay, so table name is this. So like active table of DSO. Okay. So now our tab is able to select customer name from this table. So where?
Okay. Can you change that from?
Okay.
Okay, from. No. From select customer name. 1 minute. I guess.
Yeah, sure. Let me get the key field also, for which I am getting. Okay. Till now, like I have added my table by using here.
Yeah,
So
select field from. Yeah, from. I guess you have to put that colon in front of the table name. Try that.
okay, yeah. Column in
Yeah.
okay.
You have that colon in front of in tab, right? Yeah, that colon you have to put here, not semicolon, colon.
Okay. And table is within the braces, or I need to remove this.
Yes, it is. You have to try removing the braces.
This one? No. The table name is this only with the start brace, you know.
Yeah. Now remove that in tab one. And just before the semicolon, yeah, colon in tab. Can you remove that and see if it works? Because you're selecting from this table, right?
Selecting customer name from this table where customer ID is in tab, whatever we have sent it here.
No, was one
Do
of
we
the,
need to use from and where clause also here?
I guess where would be better because you're just selecting the customer name. You want all the customer name, right? So it should not.
Only one. It is one-to-one mapping because it is a field routine. So only one record is processing.
Hmm. Because normally in selects we do put a restriction, but as you said, this is a field routine. I don't think it should be a problem. But yeah, even in the field routine, what value you are looking for, you need to give some condition, right? Otherwise,
Yeah. So where
hmm,
is equal to intent. Okay.
hmm. So what is the error? It is showing error in front of the table name, right?
SQL syntax error.
Hmm.
Maybe we need to put it like
Table
this.
name where the customer ID is equal to. Try putting some hardcore value in the customer ID equal to.
Okay.
And see if that works.
No, it is not taking here.
Okay, just looking into few syntaxes which I have.
It is saying the body of the AMDP method was closed unexpectedly.
Where? Okay.
Yeah, sure. You can carry on, so we
Yeah,
can
we
maybe
can.
check this
Yeah, we
later.
can. Yeah, we can check this post our session. I'll have
Yeah,
to
sure.
check. I'll
Okay.
share a document also. I guess the learning department will share a document also with few of the standard AMDP samples. Maybe from there we can get some idea. I was checking that document only.
Okay, sure. Please carry on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Deepak, for notifying this. So it can be a good learning. Okay. All right. Is everybody back? Should we go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So just to summarize, before we go into the system, we spoke about AMDP as a concept. AMDP is a BAP managed database procedures. Basically, it is a coding language for the data. It is a coding language for the database server, but maintained and created at the ABAP layer. So ABAP layer is an application server coding and SQL script coding as a database server coding, right? And the transportation for the AMDP is very similar to BW. We did not have to uh, worry about the database procedure transport. It is tightly coupled with our BW transport. We just need to transport the transformation and the DTPs. And the database procedures are created when the first time that particular method is called. In our case, when our first time DTP is fired. Okay. And SQL script is our database scripting language for HANA exclusively. And AMDP scripts follow the object-oriented programming protocol with a code push technology. Okay, so this is basically the summary of how what is AMDP. So quickly, I'll just go into the system. I have created a small demo where I have mapped the transformation to another DSO. So I've named it. You can check it in this info area which I've created. So over here we have ADSO which is mapped to another ADSO. So I'm basically loading data from this ADSO zcust underscore ADR. Okay, into this created ADSO. I will log into the system. Somehow my BW HANA cockpit is not firing. It is giving an error. So I'll have to check the data at that database level, table level. Okay, so this is my base table. I'll just check the active table. Base DSO, sorry. Not this one. Z custom underscore ADR. Okay. So this is a simple ADSO for customer data. We have address as a key field with number. We have city, postal code, country, region, and street. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to load this data into my ADSO and do some calculations in the AMDP scripts. Okay. So over here, I'm trying to create an expert routine. Okay. So this is how the transformation looks initially while we are creating. Okay. Now I'm trying to create an expert routine to manipulate that data before loading into my ADSO. So by default, it will open in the ADT tool. Okay. This is a part of ADT tool. You will have to log in. If you see here, this is the BW project and this is my ADT project. So you have to log into the ADT tool also. Then only this code will open here. So if you see, as soon as I clicked on create export routine, all these things, let me just close this first. Okay. So as I said, this is the class and the method programming for object oriented programming. So first is the class. So over here we define the structure and the entities of what we want to do with those data, right? So we have public section, we have private section, and we have a protected section. But in transformation, it is by default public section. Okay, when we create that. And this is the implementation, basically the method of how those fields will interact with each other. Okay. So over here, we will have to code. And here, since it is a transformation, it has already created the structure of the source. Okay, if you see, we have address, we have city, postcode, country, region. This is what our DSO looks like over here. So the structure is automatically created. And I spoke about interfaces, right? In one of the slides, somewhere I had spoken about the interface. Yeah, this one, right? So to make the class, this class, to understand this as it to be an AMDP, we need an interface, which is F AMDP marker HDP. So while you're creating the transformation, by default, it comes in. So we need not worry about here. So this is an identification or a marker that this class is an AMDP class. Okay, why if you're creating an exclusive AMDP database procedure in SE38, you'll have to add this explicitly. This will not come as default since but it is BW4 transformation, so it is coming by default. So this identifies this as an AMDP class. Okay, and all the structures and everything are already defined, just like our start package, right? Source package in our BW transformations. Okay, and now over here, this is also by default, it comes in by this identification. As I said before, by database procedure, we are saying that this is a database procedure for our HANA database, and language is SQL script. Because of these three combination, it identifies this as an AMDP script for BW4 HANA server. Okay, now as you can see, we have to put our code here. Okay, and the input output by default is this. So now what I want to do is, okay, I want to manipulate region data based on country. Okay, if I just put this as a code, if I just enhance this code, if I run this, this will select all the fields from my source and put it into the output. So whatever data is here, it will directly go into my this target ADSO as it is without anything. So this is a simple by default line already given if you want to just push the data. But now I want to manipulate this data, right? So this is the code I had written. So what I'm saying is select address number record mode. This record mode is nothing but what is defined here by default in our structure. The record mode like change mode, we have before image, after image, all that thing for delta recording. This is defaulted in the structure by BW itself. And we have record number and the this procedure code. Okay, so I want all of them. We want address data as it is, record, city, post, country as it is. Okay, I want all these fields as it is from my source, but for region I want to do some manipulation. So I go here in the code, I say case when my country is US, then my region value should be cal. So basically whenever this is a US country, this region should become cal irrespective of whatever values are there. Okay, so this is my logic. I want to change the region. So in the select statement itself, I can give the condition, and then once the and at the end I have to put as region. So whatever this manipulation is happening, it should go and sit in the region field. So as region is the keyword here once you are done with the coding. So over here you can have any kind of logic placed. You can put substring logic, concatenation logic as per what you need. And again, I do not want to change street. I want street as it is and record as it is and just put it into the int tab. Okay, so this is a very simple code. We can have a check once we have written the code. So it mentions there are no errors. I activate that. Okay, once this is activated, I have to activate my transformation also. Okay, now if you see that options are gone because I've created an export routine in HANA runtime.
Neeraj, can I call procedures inside it?
Sorry?
Can I call some procedures in it or functions inside?
Yes, yes, you can. Because procedures can call other procedures. So if you have a predefined SAP procedure or your own procedure, you can call it inside your code. Okay, now I activate the DTP. Okay, so before I run the DTP, let's see if my table already has data. Okay, so I was doing some checks in the morning. It already has some data. Since I'm unable to launch my HANA cockpit, I'm just checking the update table. Oh, sorry, inbound table. I'm not activating it. Okay. So we have 1140 data. Now I run that DTP. Done. Let me see the DTP is completed. It's done. It's done. Okay. So the number has increased now. It was 1140. Okay. And this is my latest request. So you see, wherever there has been country as US, it has changed to cal. So this is a very simple change done all the way US and cal. So similarly, in this code, in the start in the ADA script, you can do whatever logic you want. Suppose I now just want fields I want region as it is, but I want to put some condition. I just need US country data. Okay, I want all the fields, so I'll just put where. Okay, I put here where my country is US. From in tab, is incorrect form of tab. This is a little challenging whenever it comes to. Has this document already been shared with you guys? Standard AMDP samples?
No, no.
Okay. We'll share it with you guys. Let me just put it away. I'll just put this one. Select all fields from a tab. Where country is equal to US. I don't know what mistake I'm doing.
Remove the semicolon there. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, check the code. No error activated.
So Neeraj, I had a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
In case, for example, solutions of the transformation.
Sanjeeva, your voice is not clear. It's breaking.
Is it somewhat clear now?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
So in the previous versions of ABAP routines, right? So we had the option of raising the exception in case something went wrong and we could terminate the load, right?
Correct.
So do we have that option here? And yes, if yes, can you tell us?
Yeah, raising an exception should be available here because we have that error handling code, right? I've never tried it, but there is an option of error handling.
Yes, it is there, but then that error handling doesn't terminate the load. It only captures just in case there is a failure due to some reason. I think it captures those records, but in case we want to terminate forcefully due to some reason, for example, we make some data checks and we feel that there's some value there wrong and we want to just terminate the load. That's what I'm looking into.
Okay, so maybe here while you're, I've never tried that, but maybe here while you're doing the select query, in the error, I guess in the error tab itself, you can write that code.
No, that's what I'm saying. Error tab only stores the error records based on the condition we give you up there, right? But then I don't want to go to the error tab at all. I just want to terminate. For example, I said out tab is equal to, right? Soon after that, or even prior to doing anything, I just when I enter this method, I want to check a condition. And if that condition fails, I just want to terminate. I don't want to execute any of these statements at all. As soon as it enters this method, I check a condition. If condition fails, I terminate this loop.
Yeah, that should be possible, but I'm not aware about the syntax, how to put it into an SQL script, but that it should be available because it is a basic feature in ABAP, right? So all those features would have come here. So I'm not sure about the code, the SQL script for that, but yeah, exception would be available. I'll check on that.
Yeah, just in case you come to know about it. Let
Yes.
me know.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's a good question. I have just noted it down. So once I have the detail on that, I will forward it to you. Raise exception in ADM script. I've just noted it down.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I just activated it again. So now in my new request, only US data should come in. If I go here, latest one. One 775. This is my latest. It.
So
No.
is this the active table you're checking? Did you activate the data?
No, I'm just checking the inbound table because my
Oh.
SAP HANA cockpit is not working.
You're checking the inbound table, huh?
Yeah, just the inbound table. So the latest request should have just US country data. I'm just checking which one is the latest one.
Maybe you can sort it out based on the request number.
Actually, I've run multiple loads since morning, so I'm a little confused. So basically, what I wanted to share is you can manipulate the data, you can change the ADM script, and every time you change the ADM script and you run the code, so basically the database procedure is updated and called. And if you want to see that database procedure, see, I have opened a SAP HANA development perspective. Okay, over here system. Just log into this one. Okay. So you'll be able to find that particular database procedure has been created now in our database. So over here you can open the database server of B4H1. This is the database. You can add it through Windows and add systems. So over here I go to catalog. I go to SAP HANA DB schema procedures. So where is our procedure? So our procedure name would be defined there in our code itself, which is an auto-generated alphanumeric name. This one. Okay. So BIC UAW. So if you go here in the database, it would be there somewhere. Yeah, this one. So procedures are created. I'm not sure whether we have access to check the code, but the SQL script code is defined, it's created over here. So anytime if you want to check what kind of SQL script has been created in the database, this is how you can check. You go to the database server and you click on the SQL script. Right now, I guess I do not have enough authorizations. That's why I'm not able to see, but you can see the code here. Okay, so this is what I meant in the earlier discussion, that you need not transport the database procedure. You just need to transport the transformation and the TTP. And whenever it is running, the database procedure is created directly for the first time in the database server. And whenever you change the code in your AMDP scripts, the database procedure gets updated. Okay. So this is just a small demo for you guys to look and feel how it looks like when you're creating and changing the AMDP scripts. So there are few ABAP AMDP scripts. Like in ABAP, we used to have this kind of code, right? Delete source package where material is this. So if you want to bring it to the AMDP, you have to code it like this. So these are few changes how an ABAP coding can be changed to AMDP scripts. So Deepak, maybe you can check this document, what you are trying to do. Okay, yeah, so over here it is mentioned for delete, it is straightforward. Over here you have to put a select statement from in tab where not material. So it will fetch all the materials apart from this one, 144. Similarly for source package deletion, you have, so basically the delete statements are replaced by select and the condition becomes reverse of whatever it's here. It is one of the best coding standards as per the SQL script. So this is for deletion statement. So a few examples for if and else. You loop at the result package in your ABAP code and greater than 50. If some field is greater than 50, you categorize it as 1 and 2. So AMDP becomes you select all the fields which you want. And as I did for my code, whichever field you want to manipulate, in our case, Z last, over there, you put the case condition greater than 50, then category 1, else category 2, and this is the keyword as this. So once this statement is executed, it goes and stores the data here. Some examples of if nested, if and else. So these are the few examples which you can try. Either Dhanna or myself will share this document with you guys. So this is a small example. Any questions on this one apart from that raise exception question, which is a very good question?
So, Neeraj, like we were checking the export. So can you show how it will look when we try to have start routine and end routine?
Okay.
How what would be the structure and
Okay. So I'll just keep it here only. I'll delete this. It won't make much difference here. It will almost be like this only. Right now it is coming as global expert, right? When you create a start routine, all these things will come as same. And over here, instead of global expert, it will come as start. I'll show it to you. Let me close this and delete it.
and when do we need to create a separate ABAP project when we have this write this MDP script?
No, when you're trying to first time create write the code, it will give you a pop-up for login on which ABAP version, which ADT tool you want to give. Over there, you have to give your BW4 HANA credentials itself.
Okay, okay.
Let me just log off from here and try again.
No, basically, we I mean, when we are writing ABAP, we think it will go to ABAP perspective and all that. So, not that, right?
No,
That
no, it'll give you a pop-up to log in to the ADT tool. This is the ADT tool, right? So over there, you have to be mindful that you have, since you're making developing the code in B4H. Okay, normally what happens is in your pop-up it gives you all the ECC source system
yes, yeah,
ID.
yeah,
So
yeah.
in the pop-up you get an option as new
Mm.
below. Okay, you click on that and then it will give you the SAP GUI, all the options whatever are there for you. You have to choose this your BW4 HANA instance and log in again with the same password. And then it will open into the ADT tool. Over there, you create the code. So basically, you are leveraging your ABAP layer only of your BW HANA system. This one.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. All right. Any questions here? If not, then I'll move on to the last topic of HANA exit variables.
And before that, I mean, just if you have any sample, suppose we are doing, we generally do this lookup on different DSOs, right? So
Correct.
here we are seeing this in tab, that is internal tables, right?
Correct.
So no, here we are seeing in tab is the source package. So if we need to define some internal table, how that would be, and
Yeah, internal table. So basically, what will happen is in your let me go back here. Sorry. So over here, you will have to create your another type structure for your internal table. Okay, and then the similar way the logic remains. I mean the coding pattern remains the same. How you create in your normal BW, the source package. If you are referring to some other table, internal table, which Rohit was, it is Deepak. Yeah, it was Deepak who was discussing before the call. Over here, you have to add that as using. Okay, and put that internal table name here from where you want to do lookup, and then backslash BAC, whatever the table name is there, it should come here. And over here in your logic, you put the same way. Select star from this table directly and the where clause and put it into an internal table. An internal table structure you have to define here itself as the structure of this table name, the lookup table. Suppose the lookup table is Z table, you come here, you define explicitly your structure again, like by putting types, big enough, and put those field name and that structure of that Z table and close it. So it creates an internal table thing. And over here, you have to put the same logic. So it's similar to ABAP, how we are coding ABAP, but only the syntaxes are a little different. But you have
okay.
to put using here, using that internal, that lookup table name you have to put here.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Okay.
Yeah. So if you have any resource like this document is fine. If additional resource, if you have, you can share them.
Yeah. I have few links saved with me. I'll share that also.
Yeah.
Yeah, this actually AMDP is a not very explored part of BW4 HANA. It is only explicitly used when where you have very complex logic and you want to leverage HANA database. Normally in BW transformations we put field routines, right, and start routine and end routine, which are small logics. So we all prefer to put it on the ABAP layer only. For AMDP examples, you need to search a little. I have few. I will send it across. Okay. Yeah, the other important thing I wanted to share is the debugging part. Okay, I just put the code back here. How to debug AMDP script. It is a little different from a traditional one, and you can put back the code. Okay. Fine. So what is the CP? Oh, I might have changed something. So in traditional BW transformation, we have to open that generated program in an SE38 and then put a breakpoint there, come back to DTP, select debugging mode, simulation mode, and then do the debug, right? You have to run the DTP in the simulation mode. But for AMDP, you do not have to run the simulation mode. You just have to run the normal DTP. That is one difference here. The edit. All right. Now suppose I want to debug this transformation on my code. So over here, if you see, it has given a line of version over here. See at row number 77. Note the dash M class are not considered for DTP extraction. AMDP breakpoints must be set in the A version. Okay. So how to do this? So we go to transformation. Okay. Over here, properties. We go to the transformation properties, technical. Over here, you see the A version. See underscore A. We can debug this underscore A version. A means nothing, means active version. Okay, so click here and it is a read only one. Okay, this will open the transformation, the entire transformation where we have done coding. So now I want to, I had tried this before, so that's why this is an AMDP breakpoint from the previous version, previous session. So I can click here, double click. Green means that particular breakpoint is active. So now it is active. You see it is there. Okay, now I go back to my DTP and I run this in the norm, not in simulation. Okay, I run it in the background. See, it gives you a pop-up that there is a debugger set. Okay, do you want to open that? So I say switch to the debugger mode. And if you see here, it is gone to the debug perspective. Can you see on the right hand side over here, there is a bug, debug perspective. Okay, and this is what that screenshot was showing in one of the presentation. This is the code. This is how the debugger looks. The code, the hierarchy where we are debugging, the code variables. If you see, we have in tab, we have 570 records in our source, and we just debug. If next step. So you can, it went ahead. I just pressed F6. So over here, this is how you debug. You come to your debug point and do whatever analysis you want to do. So this is a little different than your normal BW4 HANA transformation.
But same F8, F6, and all those things work, right? To,
Yeah, F5, F6, F7, yes, same one. Okay, so this is how you debug. A little different, but it's a good one. Okay, I go back to my BW perspective. Okay, any questions in this one? So you guys have an idea how AMDP works and how to debug it.
yeah.
Okay. Fine. Now moving on to the last part, the HANA exit variables. Okay. So you guys are aware, right? We have an in our previous BW versions, we used to code variables in C mode, right? In our SAP GUI, we used to have some projects. Go here, components, right? Over here it is not defined, but we used to have components here. RSR 001, 2, 3, 4, 1 was for transactions and everything like that for our data source enhancements. And for our for BW variable enhancements, we used to have RSR 0001, right? Over there you used to enhance the code. But over here we do not have that. We have enhancement spots. Okay, we have bodies and enhancement spots for variable coding, BW variable coding, right? So this is the body for our HANA exits. basically for AMDP scripting. Okay, so the T code for our body is SE18 or SE19. Okay, so this is for HANA, this is for ABAP. If you want to code based on your ABAP language, then this is the enhancement spot, RSR, ROA, variable exit. And if you want an AMDP, then this is the one. Okay, I guess we have not coded anything here. Nothing is coded. So I'll just take an example of what is there. So if you see here, this is the enhancement spot, RSOR variable. This is the interface for that. And the class, this is the class defined. And this is the implementation. So the advantage of this body is for each and every variable, you can have different enhancement spots. Okay. So for example, I'll just pick a random one. Go to the class. Yeah. So all these variables will have a same method being called. The nomenclature would be the same, but inside the code we can define as per our requirement. So over here, it is saying whenever this variable is called and at I step 2, this function should be executed. So the advantage of having enhancement spots in the new version is in C mode, what we used to have was we used to have one single include, right? Some ZXR, SRU01, I don't remember the name exactly. So all the code for all the variables were in the same program, right? We used to put case conditions, and when case is this variable, execute this. When case is this variable, execute this. So the challenge was even if one part of the code would have gone wrong, it would have affected the entire all the other variables in the system. So because of this, now enhancement spots, we can have individual enhancement spots for individual variables or individual fields. Like we can have an enhancement spot for all the variables for customer or different variables for customers. So this will make the particular variable code independent of others. If one goes for a toss, the rest all is not hampered. So this is the going forward way of writing code, the enhancement spots. And the T code is SE18. So over here, you can create new implementation, create body implementation, and then you can put the naming convention as per your requirement and code it accordingly. So this is the new way of coding for PW variables. And if you're creating on the HANA exit body, then it will be an AMDP script. So this is an example for one of them.
So no I step required.
That depends on your requirement. Normally, I step will also work here. As you know, I step 0 is for authorization, 1 is before the pop-up screen, 2 is when there is a pop-up screen, and 3 is after the pop-up screen. So as per your requirement, you can do that. But normally it will come somewhere here. This is just a example.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so here we don't need that case and all that. I mean, for individual, because we already this is spot for individual variable.
Correct.
But I steps still can be used. Okay.
Yeah. So the only thing is, if you create this enhancement spot, for example, for a customer, and if you have 5 variables for a customer, BW variable, you can put that case here in the code if you want.
Yeah. So that will be, it will call individual variable.
Yeah. So you can put the case here, and wherever the variable is called, you can, or you can keep different bodies, implement enhancement spots for different variables. That can also be done. So basically, this makes all the variables independent of each other, and nothing is impacted by any change of any other variable. So that is the advantage of going for enhancement spots. Any questions here? This is the last point for this.
Yeah, Neeraj, while transporting, we should transport the method alone, or
For this one, again, I guess in this one, since you're creating the class and the method, you'll have to transport both. I mean, when you're creating the class and you're creating a implementation, body implementation inside that, both will be captured in a common transport. Because the hierarchy is without a class, you cannot have a method. So both will be captured in the same TR.
Variable are nothing but query variables.
Yes, BW query variables, which we
Okay.
want authorization based or any logic we want to put.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Coming on to the last slide for this one. Yeah, these are the few recommendations given. Anybody from Pfizer account here in the training? No one? Okay. The reason I asked is because last week there was one very good session given by Pfizer account while they were upgrading their database server, HANA database server from 1.0 to 2.0 for I guess revision 55 or 56. So over there they had mentioned one point, one learning. You guys can keep it in mind whenever you have something like this related to your project. It was after they upgraded from HANA 1.0 to HANA 2.0, few of the AMDPs were not working. Okay, those AMDPs where the coding was done as a blank field area. For example, suppose we had a query select star from some table where 0com code is blank. Okay, so that blank, because of that blank value, the AMDP scripts were not working properly. So going forward, whenever you are coding, make sure that your select queries are having some values. Use the reverse one. Suppose 0com code, you are putting select star fields from this table where 0com code is blank, put it as not equal to some value. In that, the blank values were creating a problem. Okay, so they went back to SAP and they asked for a solution. The SAP said that you shouldn't keep blank values in your where clause. You should have some values. So that was one learning which I had last week in attending one of the session. So you guys can keep this in mind going forward whenever you are shifting from HANA 1.0 to HANA 2.0. So AMDP script should have some value in your where clause. Okay, so that is one learning from last week, and these are the few recommendations coming. Now, yes, in the SQL functions, normally we come across null values. So to overcome that null value, they're saying this coalesce function you can use. Now, coalesce is nothing but whatever you define inside, it picks up the value and puts it there. Over here, it is saying if in any of the field, if there is a blank value, replace it with a text material. Okay, so suppose there is some coding where you are looking for names, first name, middle name, surname, right? And you are putting some logic where you want at least one of the names to come in. You shouldn't want a null value in your final, because some in a normal HR employee data, you sometimes have just the first name, sometimes you just have the last name as per the name of the person. So what happens if you are putting a logic only on first name, and if it is doesn't have maintained in the HR database, it will give a null value. So you can put a code there, coalesce, and in the inside bracket you can put first name, comma, second middle name, comma, surname. So what will coalesce do is it will check all the three fields, and whichever field will give its first non-null value, it will put there. Suppose for a particular employee, the first name is maintained, so the value will come as a first name. Suppose for another employee, the first name is not maintained, but the middle name is maintained, so it will give the middle name there. And similarly for the third, whichever field has value, that first non null value, it will bring and put it here. So this coalesce function tying up to the Pfizer account can help, where you do not have to keep any null values, right? So this is one of the recommendations by SAP. The other one is to bring two during between concatenation, you can put this char function to overcome the blank space. So these are the couple of recommendations which they have given. So nothing major here, but these are the learnings from SAP and the previous projects. Okay, I guess that's it from the AMDP thing.
Can you stress on that point? AMDP field routines are different from ABAP field routine. The ABAP field routine, yeah, that point.
The AMDP field routine different to ABAP field routing. The AMDP field routine expects the output to have the same number of lines as the input. There is no looping concept in AMDP field routines, unlike ABAP. Okay, so maybe from this line, what they're trying to say is in our ABAP coding, we can loop, right? Loop on the source package, loop on the result package, and we can add more records into the system, right? Basing into the table. Maybe that one is not available in AMDP. That's what they are saying. In AMDP routines, it expects the output to have the same number of lines as the input. So basically, your source package and your result package should be the same number of records. That's what it is being.
So we cannot explode data. That means, I mean, there would be logic, right, to increase number of record based on certain logic. So
Yeah.
source, yeah. So that will not, if that kind of scenario, then this AMDP will not work.
Yeah, in that cases, I'm not sure whether it this as per this statement shouldn't work, but I am sure there would be some workaround for this, where you create an internal table or something like that and manipulate the data. But I'll have to check. But this is what it means at this point of time, that your result package should be same as your target package number of records. No looping concept here.
Yeah, because we are extreme. I mean, every transformation we have loops.
Yeah.
Somewhere else we are using very.
Yeah, but loops for checking the data is okay, right? We are looking for data, but this is specifically for adding a new record based on that. You're creating a new record in your end routine or a start routine. Basically, end routine. Normally, after all the result packs are sorted, we do an end routine to add new records, right? So that one, it is saying it is not possible here to add the records. Lookup and everything and putting the data, that should be okay.
Yeah, so the last line says that, right, generate additional record and looping using DB cursor are best avoided. It recommended to use ABAP routine
Correct.
for such scenario.
Yeah. For additional records, then you go for ABAP.
Yeah.
I'm sure AMDP would have some fix or some workaround for this, but it will be like a tedious one. Any which ways, SQL script is a little tedious because you're not well versed with that. We are very well versed with ABAP, right? So even the smallest comma, semicolon gives an error and we are not able to find out what is the error. So it's best we go for ABAP in such scenarios. As I said, this AMDP is not very much explored yet because very rarely it is used. Mainly, I believe in finance module, it might be used heavily where you have a lot of calculations to be done based on GL accounts or something like that. Maybe at that point it is useful. Okay, that's it from my end related to AMDP. Anybody has any questions? Right, no questions. Either I have done a very good job or a very bad job.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
we need to hands-on, right, to get. I mean, these are basically things, less of theory, more of practical, right? Once you start doing it, you will get questions on this one. I
Correct,
mean,
correct.
you laid out the, I mean, basic, right, what to be done, what to be done, and all that. So now things
Yeah,
boils down to how you do it, and when you start doing it, you will get questions.
correct. So the idea of this training was to get you versed with how it works, where to go, how to debug, as well as you put on your logic based on your project. New things will come up, new errors will come up. For that, you have to do your own R&D. But at least you guys are confident enough what is an AMDP, how it works, where to write the code, where to find into the source system, the database layer, how to debug. If you guys are pretty much knowing this after this session, you are still at a good space. You can at least start doing some more research on that.
And like in DTP, suppose you need to code something. Suppose your transformation is AMDP, but in DTP you want to have some code. Then AMDP is allowed, or it would be a web.
Right now, I'm not sure how that would work, because in DTP, normally, what kind of coding we do? We do some checks and we put either the DTP should go forward or it should fail, right? Based on few checks. So
Filter logic, or based on it will read some file and for some data and those
yeah,
kind of.
I guess for DTP, not sure. Never explored this idea. But I guess if it is transformation ADMP AMDP based, then I guess in DTP also you'll get that option. I've not explored that point yet.
Okay. Yeah,
Cool.
no, so yeah, I mean, in traditional BW on HANA, we were doing that to improve performance, but now with the MDP, everything will be pushed down to database level. So I don't think same thing we need to. I mean, suppose we are putting some filter logic on transformation. So in
Mhm.
DTP also we are putting so that performance would be good beforehand. Going to transformation, the filter would work. So now, like with this AMDP, when logic is being pushed down to database, that thing I don't know. We
Yeah,
don't think that would be required anymore.
yeah. Any which ways, coding on the DTP is rarely used. So I guess we'll have to explore that part for more.
So
I
Neeraj,
guess.
like based on your experience, like uh, generally people use doing this AMDP thing in the transformation routine and all there. Like where generally we use, and how to decide whether we should use the ABAP thing or we should go for this AMDP thing.
See, in my career so far in the last 2.5 years, I have used AMDP only once, and I'll explain the scenario also. Apart from that, it's always ABAP. So in one of the requirement was we wanted in BW the same BOM level logics which are there in ECC systems. You're aware, bill of materials, right? We have a lot of levels there based on logic. The 3 4 tables they look up. There is a T code for BOM, right? So for functionally, you are aware of what is BOM, because you need to understand that, then only the technical solution will make sense.
Yeah, that is bill of material.
Correct. So basically, what BOM is, it is like a hierarchy, right? Suppose, for example, I'll give a very lame example: pen. Okay, to produce a pen, we need a refill, we need the outer covering of the pen, and we need ink, right? These three are the materials, correct? So when my material is at the top layer, my first level would be uh, pen chassis refill. Okay, my next level would be refill chassis. My fourth level would be ink. So suppose I need two components of ink and one component of chassis, refill chassis, and one component of pen chassis. So effectively, I need four materials to create one pen. So and my ink will cost something, my chassis will cost something. So this is basically how a bill of material works. So if I want tomorrow, if I want 10 pens to be manufactured, then I have to multiply these four materials into 10, then I need 40 components. So based on that, I have to do the pricing. So this is a ECC concept. It is only in the ECC side, because there are multiple 6 to 11 nested level of function modules used. Okay. So basically what they wanted was, they wanted the same logic in BW. But in BW, we do not have those Mara table, VBAP table, VBF table, right? And we do not have a standard data source for BOM material. So what we did was, we first created a view on all those base tables, and we brought the data into BW. Okay. And that logic, that complex logic of 7 nested loops. We put it in the AMDP script, which was a little simplified version, and we had done the loading in the transformation. So in the past 2.5 years, I had just used AMDP once because the number of data was huge and the calculation was a little complex. We wanted to leverage on the HANA side. We tried it on the ABAP layer and it was taking about 7 to 8 hours to just load about 5 lakh of records. And that was not at all advisable. So we came up with this idea. We created an view on those base tables. We brought the required data into BW, kept it in an ADSO. And in my target ADSO, and between this ADSO, we created a transformation based on AMDP. So where you have very high requirement of complexity, there only you use AMDP. Otherwise, it is mostly ABAP only. Does that answer your question? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, so yeah, I am clear. Mainly when we are doing some transformation, we can go for a BAP routine also. But if we have very complex logic to be placed, then we should go for AMDP for sure.
Yeah. So major check would be complexity of your logic and the amount of data. That both things you have to consider. If it is huge, then you go for AMDP. Okay, that was a good question. Any other question?
So is complex logic is possible in AMDP, like loop and nesting of loop, and I mean,
Yeah, but as we discussed some time back, adding the
yeah.
record is not possible. For that, you have to go for ABAP only. But complex logics there are. You can leverage on the AMDP, but you need to have good SQL script language control over it.
So Neeraj, I think instead of saying complex logic, we would say expensive one, because where lots of things. I mean, you are doing a lookup or something on a table which has lots of data, right?
Yeah.
So where it would take huge time when you do it at application level, do it at database level. So that time it's better to go for AMDP.
Correct. The combination of high amount of data and complex logic. Then you go for AMDP.
Neeraj, can you share that document where you have written ABAP and their replacement in AMDP?
Yeah, this one, right? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
This one. Yeah.
Can you upload this in share folder?
Yeah, I will check with the training team. They would have already put it. If not, I'll ask them to do that.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll just put down my email ID in the chat.
In Slack, you can upload.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, go ahead, please.
No, you can upload it in the box folder, which we are referring for this training.
It is already there in box.
Okay.
Okay. So, apart from AMDP, I guess we have some time. So, apart from AMDP, any other concepts you have doubt on in the previous sessions? I can try to address that if possible. I guess you had around 8 to 9 sessions, right, on the entire BW4 HANA. So if you have any questions, doubts in the previous one, you can go ahead and ask that also. If possible, I'll answer that.
So we were looking more towards the CDS view creation, all that. But since connection is not working, we could not test it.
Okay. Fine. So CDS view is as per the SAP roadmap. CDS view are the way forward. Okay, going forward in few years, most of the data sources, BW data sources, SAP is planning to put it on CDS views. The advantage of CDS view is basically you're not redunding the data anywhere. We're just creating views on the top of the flat tables, ECC tables, and bringing it data to BW. So there is no redundancy or duplication of data. And The basic other difference between an AMD, this is also a lot of time a question is being asked is what is the difference between a CDS view and AMDP, right? Because both are at the database layer, right? So CDS view is basically a view. You cannot manipulate the data there. In AMDP, you can manipulate the data. You can change the data values. That is one major difference between a CDS view and an AMDP. And the other one is AMDP works only on SQL script. The programming language is SQL script. Whereas for CDS view, it is, I guess, open SQL language, which is a little different. So these two are the basic differences between a CDS view and an AMDP. Yeah, good you mentioned that, because this is one of the questions mostly asked. What is the difference? Because both are leveraging database concepts.
Can you repeat first point about database manipulation?
See, CDS view, you are just having a view of the data, right? But you cannot change the data. Suppose you are creating a view on any Z table, which is there on your HANA database. You cannot change the values of those tables. But by AMDP, through your code, you can change the values of that Z table entries. That is one of the difference. And the other one is the coding language. CDS view leverages on OpenSQL scripting language, and our AMDP leverages on SQL script language. These two are the major difference.
How about calculation view and CDS view?
Calculation view and CDS view in terms
Yeah.
of, we are asking in terms of
Performance wise or something. So CDS view is also in going forward, right? In case if we use calculation view means also we are not persist any data also, right? In this.
Correct. So if you check the native HANA modeling, they are all on those three type of views, right? Attribute view, calculation view, and there is one more, I don't remember which one. So
Analytical view.
Yeah, analytical view, right? So now I believe SAP has recommended that you just need to have calculation views. You do not have an attribute or an analytical view. So most of the views that are created on the HANA database are on the calculation views. So yeah, if you're talking from the concept perspective, yes, it is almost the same. Basically, ABAP CDS views are highly used in embedded analytics in SAP HANA. You guys have heard about embedded analytics?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is heavily used there. And going for, and I'm not sure, but I had read it somewhere. Couple of data sources they have given in the content which are based on ABAP CDS views. I'm not sure which one, but going forward, slowly they'll push the BW data sources into ABAP CDS views. It'll take some time, but that's their roadmap. And embedded analytics is basically only for optional reporting. So when I was going through the embedded analytics training, my major concern or question was going forward, will it replace BW4 HANA? Because all the reporting can be done directly in embedded analytics, right? So the third point,
correct.
yeah, the third point is it is only for operational reporting. For other kind of financial reporting, inventory, HR, embedded analytics is not that useful. It is only for operational reporting.
So, Neeraj, I mean, I can have virtual table, right? I mean, why virtual? Why CDS? I mean,
See, in CDS view, normally, if you go into embedded analytics space, you have 2 to 3 layers. You have that business transformation. You create a view which is directly sitting on the table. Then you create another business transformation view over that, and then some consumption view. There are 2 to 3 consumption views. I don't remember, it is at the top of my mind right now. So based on that, you can derive your logic and business logic directly on the CDS view. So while the data is coming into BW, you do not need to do any designing or logic placing in your BW space. CDS view already takes care of that on the database layer. That is the difference. You just consume your CDS views into your composite provider or ADSO or OpenODS.
no, I'm saying when should we go for these virtual tables? I mean,
The trade point, the major thing would be again high data when you do not want to, or high data, or where you want frequent reporting on. Suppose you do not want to, there is a requirement for kind of real-time reporting, or every day you want to see some reports. You need not, and the data is huge on the database layer. Every time you need not bring it to BW and store there. You just create a view, and majorly where there is not too much complexity in the logic, you just want to have 4 fields from one table, 3 fields from one table, and one calculated key figure maybe. In such scenarios, such HANA views are better. HANA CDS views are better.
Let me also share one example like which we are following in our project. So there was a requirement of real-time reporting, and at the top of it, they want to create a Fury dashboard. Okay. So what we did here, like we have created real-time enable DSOs. Okay, and we get data from source system into that particular place. And to avoid the data redundancy, so we were loading it at only one single place in the DSO. Okay, then at the top of active table of DSOs, we have created information CDS views. Like whatever data is there, the exactly same data will be displayed into those CDS views. And then we consume those interface views into consumption views. Like if I want to make some logic based on 2-3 tables, so that logic is placed in the CDS views. And once those CDS views are created after applying all the logics, we have created one OData services, and that OData service was exposed to the Fury dashboard. So this is one of the example which we are following in our project.
Yeah, thank you
So,
for the
so this was the mixed scenario, right? Where uh, in your HANA database, you are exposing the DSO, I mean, and then using the CDS view there, and I mean, replicating the CDS view from S4 HANA, right?
No,
Data.
it is not S4. It is in our native database, but it can be anywhere. So this is what I've told you, like to avoid the redundancy of data. So it was advisable like load it at one place. So now we have only one copy of data, and then with the help of CDS views, we can consume it anywhere, and we can place our business logic in the consumption CDS views.
Yes, thank you, Deepak, for that share. So basically, what we need to understand is how these technologies are evolving, right, based on business trends. And one of the basic requirement going forward in an enterprise architecture is real-time reporting, or next to real-time reporting, and space management, no redundancy of data. So this CDS views help in that. You can have close to real-time reporting, and plus no redundancy of data. The data is only at one layer. Good discussion. Any other questions? Anything related to BW4 HANA, of course. Okay, I guess nothing. I'll just ping my email ID in the chat. If you guys have any doubt or anything, if you want to connect, you can connect to me on this email ID or on Slack.
Thank you, Neeraj.
Yeah. So anybody planning to give certification post this training?
Yeah, Neeraj.
Yeah, I guess it's better you do it right away. You can talk to
And for this one, it would be delta, right? I mean, so this book for 62 is enough, or will we have to go through the previous?
No, I gave after reading 462. But mine was column 16 version something. I guess now it's column 18 version. So if you're giving Delta 2.0, then it should be.
Okay. And it would be like not the associate, it would be the specialist or something, right?
Yeah, it is application specialist.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I guess that is a 1.5 hour, right? Yeah, 1.5 or 2 hours of exam. It is not
Okay.
3 hours like the normal bigger one.
Okay. Okay. And more, you need more practical exposure. The questions would be around that, or just theoretical, lots of theory.
No, if you go through B462, that is more than enough. And
Okay.
there is one exercise also, I guess. They have one exercise document also. If you go to the learning path, you will have that. You complete those two and you're good to go.
Okay. Okay.
There is some prerequisite, right, to take this Delta?
Sorry, I didn't catch your question, Guru Raj.
No, there is some prerequisite certifications to be done, right, for doing Delta.
Yeah. So normally they say that you should have around 3 years or 4 years of work X in BW
No,
space.
actually, I see the blueprint page, right, for this Delta. They
Yeah.
mentioned we should have cleared any of the previous BW certification. They have mentioned 3 exams.
Yeah, but that if you see, it would say it is helpful if you do that. It is
So
yeah.
so it's not mandatory. You can it's not mandatory, but if you are already working on BW, so you are good to get the voucher and can give the certification. But before going into the certification, you have the assessment for this particular training. So that is mandatory everyone to clear up.
Yeah. Yeah, and please take assessment a little seriously because most of the questions would be related to certification questions.
For this assessment as well, do we follow the same pattern like the blueprint, all those stuff, or no?
Yeah, pattern would be the same only. I mean, there would be a mix of questions, scenario based and some of that technical.
But topic wise, they have given some weightage, right? So is it the
Yes.
same?
Okay. Yes, it would be the same. Similar pattern would be the similar, the way we are giving a SAP.
Okay.
Yeah.
And pity, like some of this connection not working, like this for CDS and this cockpit. So can we?
Yes, Swarika. So we have, so Neeraj, we have done it, right? So our topic is completed, correct?
Yeah, today's session is done. Yeah.
Okay, so we can pause the recording and then we can take it up.
So at the end, I would just like to thank the participants. You guys were very interactive. Thank you for that. It made my work easy. I have attended few trainings, I've given few trainings, and when there is no participation, it is not worthwhile, So I'm grateful to you guys to keep it a very interactive. Couple of things were learning for me also, so thank you for that. I've noted those couple of questions, and as I have some details on it, I'll forward it to you guys. Thank you all.
And the same goes to you, Neeraj. Thanks for your support and thinking it's a very good informative session from you as well. Okay, so people who are having questions, probably you can come back or you can write to me and I will look who, even not with this AMDP, if you have any other questions as well. So you can write it to me. I can forward it if I can able to answer. Otherwise, I can also forward it to whoever was the trainer, and we can clarify whatever questions you have it. Okay. Okay, so thanks, Neeraj. And people who all are having issues, let's see. I heard it for this project. There is one issue with this CDS. CDS views is not getting open. So let me see if we can figure it out or we need to look into that. Okay.
I think the CDS is for everybody.
Someone was saying like they are getting issue with BW cockpit also, right?
Yeah.
One by one.
Not for everyone, right? Some were able to execute it on Friday itself.
I heard it from Prajakta and Dwarika. I'm not sure others. I hope everyone is tried out, right? Your accesses and everything is working.
So as I know, only it was working for Sanjiva because he had this installed before for his client. Others, I don't know if they have tried or not.
Okay. Okay. So, none of you have tried, or what is the station? I need to understand what is the issue currently. Guru Raj, for you it's working?
No, Preeti, I haven't tried that yet.
Okay. So people who have not yet tried, can you try out whether you are able to access or not? And Prajakta, can you share your screen and let's see what exactly issue we have?
Yes, let me share.
And before we go ahead, like tomorrow, I think everyone has received an invite for tomorrow's mock-up session.
Yes,
Mock-up
Preeti.
project. Okay. And anyone is not who has not received my invite for that? Okay, so tomorrow basically we will be having a mock-up where you definitely need that all the system access and that has to be checked out and working so that you can try looking into the mock-up project. And there is a different link. You need to join another WebEx which is already shared, not the link which you are every day you are joining. Okay, so that the session is again on the same time, 9:30. Everyone should join. That is mandatory to join, and then parallelly whoever is having issues that we can discuss out, and parallelly you guys can spend time and looking into that mock-up activities. Okay. Can you go into the details?
Yes, yes, Preeti.
Preeti, when you have shared that link, WebEx link.
Yes.
Yeah, Praveen here, Preeti.
Yes, Praveen, you have
received it. Yeah.
Okay,
WebEx
can you ping me your email ID?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Over to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyone
sure.
else? Okay, sure. And Prajakta, you have already uninstalled and put it that right?
Yes, I uninstalled. Actually, I installed the. I mean, I followed same procedure, and I downloaded. I mean, this Eclipse, and then I copy this JRE file again. This JRE file into newly installed this Eclipse.
Okay.
And see here, and I open this Eclipse with this .exe file.
So by looking into this, it's again saying the Java issue. This is something is compatibility is not happening, so that we need to figure it out. At this moment, I really cannot tell you what would be the root cause, because this is again I am also seeing the first time, so I'll figure it out and see how we can do it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I think Dwarika is also facing same issue.
Yeah, same error.
Okay. And okay, and what about this your issue with this cockpit?
Dwarika, right?
Yes,
No.
you are
Yeah, yeah. So do you want me to share? Okay.
yeah, you can share it.
Preeti, I have shared on Slack my email.
I got it.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm using this T code. Tutorial for web. Long. Yeah.
So what you need to do, actually I have pasted that in our channel also, and currently I have pasted one entry in our group chat. Open your host file like we did for other three system, and just
Mhm.
paste that entry there, and it will start working.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, let me try that. So you have pasted that in Slack.
I pasted that in the chat, in the meeting chat, WebEx meeting chat.
Okay.
So just copy that, maintain that.
Maybe Deepak, just again, can you share the host entry here in WebEx?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just put it again.
Yeah, I can see that. It's there. It's there.
Okay. So just open your host file with that administrator and just save this there,
Okay. Okay.
and then try again.
Yeah.
Somehow what is happening, like we maintain this one time, but it is disappearing after some time. So I also keep on adding it in my host file, and as soon as I add it, start working.
Prajakta, which Java version are you using?
Yeah, let me check. Java version in JRE file. Like, can I get that information?
Just check.
Yeah, I'm checking.
Or in the control panel also you can check.
Yeah.
Control panel.
I think Preeti, they did not install Java because how it was working, all the compatibility for all these. We just need to copy that GRE file into that Eclipse folder, and then everything was working after that.
No, but if it is not working, then we need to install the Java and then we'll see.
Yeah. But that, okay.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Okay.
Can you stop sharing, Deepak?
So, Dwarika, your issue is fixed after adding your host file?
I'm adding that.
Okay.
So, this is Java, I can see.
So, just search for Java 12.0. Just Google it and try to install it.
12.0. So I have to uninstall this Java 8 and then 12.0
Yes.
I have to install.
First Google it and install the 12.0 version.
Okay.
The strange thing is that, like, with the same Java and the same Eclipse version, it's working in one of the system, the Deepak system, he is able to access.
Okay. Okay, with the same combination.
Actually, yeah, okay.
Okay, let me uninstall this and try to install new version.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
First install. First download that new version, whatever file is
Okay.
required. Just Google it and download, then uninstall
Yeah.
this.
Okay, fine. Yes.
So, except CDS view, do we have any other issues? Are you able to create a calculation view or anything where you wanted to highlight?
Yeah. So I created a calculation view. So I was going through the exercise. So there, say for example, there is instruction to join Mara and MAKT. So those tables only Mara is there. Other table is not there. So we
As
cannot follow the exercise
yes,
as this.
the Dwarika, as I mentioned earlier
Yeah.
as well, that the exercises which is giving, it is giving for your reference. Okay, not exactly all the table probably you will find out, because we have a restriction with the training system. Okay, it will give you, you can join with the Mara and other tables where we have the data, and based on that you can create your calculation view. Okay, maybe you can take a VBAK and VBAP, okay, for how exactly it is working. And once you will have the criteria for this mockup, you will have a complete things better understanding. Okay, and the exercising is for your reference, like
Yeah. No.
what
So
all the things you can try out in system.
yeah. So I mean, will in mockup we'll not get something where we don't have access, right? I mean, everything data will be there and everything set up, right? I
Yes.
mean, whatever table we'll be using.
So you will have this, yeah, data will be available on those tables. Okay.
Otherwise, I mean, if that remote access is given, I mean, remote table we can create and
Correct, correct. Virtual tables you can create and can
yeah.
expose over there.
Yeah. So for that, the connection would be required, right? I mean, the login credentials. I was trying to create a virtual table, but then that credential is not there. Is that something that will be
You can
provided, or?
directly expose in the VBAK and VB other tables where you have for you to create a calculation view, that you can directly have
That
it.
I used some sample ones. I'm just
Mm.
okay.
Yeah. So before creating itself, you can check out in S4 what are the tables and how many records are there, right? So
Yeah.
on that basis, you can create it. Projector for you, this is still loading, right? You are
Yeah,
installing
yeah, I'm
Java.
checking. Actually, it's a I can see Java. Is it JDK 12? JDK 12.0 I have to install?
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
12
fine,
version.
fine. I will install. Yeah.
64-bit, I think. JDK 64-bit.
Yes, yes, I can found it. I found it.
Just try with that. Hopefully it should work.
Yes, yes.
So now, yesterday we were getting this issue. Can I just show that? We are trying to create a CDSP or anything of DDL.
Can't hear you, Prashant.
Hello.
Yes, it's audible now. Yeah.
Yeah, let me share my screen. So when we try to create anything in CDS,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry.
it's the same issue which we are looking, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you want me to change the Java version here?
Yes,
Yes.
Install the JDK 12.0. Just Google it, you'll find it.
Okay. Is it JDK 12.0 or JRE?
JDK.
JDK 12.0.264 bit.
Okay.
Deepak, for the cockpit, I'm now getting a different message. I mean, that connection is not private.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah.
Advanced. Go into the advanced. Continue. There is below you see option. Right? Continue. Continue.
Okay. So
Okay.
here, this would be same. Which I mean, BW username password.
Yes.
Which you are doing
Okay.
using BW cockpit, right? If you are
Yeah.
using Fury for S4, then you have to give that S4
Password.
access.
Okay. Got it.
Here you have to give B4.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Sonal and Preeti. This is Neeraj. I'll
Yeah,
drop off
Neeraj.
from the.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Neeraj. Yeah, and can you please also stop the recording? I think you
Yeah.
have access. Yeah.